This is Dan Joyce, professor at George Mason University, and Yaz Judge, talking about Twyla Tharp. Go Dan.
Hi everybody. As I always say with these things, I really applaud your courage in taking this on. I think it's really great that you're willing to accept these challenges that Audrey is throwing at you, and then also to ask for feedback from people about your work. I think that takes a lot of courage on your part. I love this challenge about Twyla Tharp. It is particularly germane right now because Twyla is on a little bit of a dance comeback. She is celebrating her 50th anniversary as a choreographer this year and has assembled a new group of dancers to do a national tour. So check your local listings. I know she'll be at the Kennedy Center in November. And she's really on a big national tour right now, so she may be, depending on where you are, she may be coming to a theater near you sometime soon. And I would encourage you to go see her company if you possibly can. There have been a lot of previews and reviews of these concerts in the New York Times in the last probably 3 to 4 months. And then I would also encourage you all to check out her blog. She has been blogging at the New York Times, at newyorktimes.com for several months, talking about her creative process, her rehearsals, how she chooses music, how she collaborates with people, all the ins and outs of putting on a tour and taking it on the road. So I think that that could be potentially really interesting to you folks also. If you don't know about her, as I said, she's been around now for 50 years, which is a great track record in this artistic business that we're in. A lot of the things that she has done in dance have been sort of what I would call crossovers, and she's somebody that really assimilates a lot of different kinds of movement. Some of her earliest pieces were sort of what we would call postmodern dance that happened in the 1960s, but then she's also had a terrific career in ballet, in Broadway, and she really has always melded a lot of these forms, and I think that's something that could be helpful for you guys too. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Just a couple of quick show and tells. This is her autobiography, which is a little bit dated right now. It's called Push Comes to Shove, which is also the name of one of her great dances that if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube and you need to see it. Also this book, Howling Near Heaven, Twyla Tharp and the Reinvention of Modern Dance in the 1960s, is a great book. I will give you some good background on her. And then I think especially for you folks, a book that Twyla wrote herself called The Creative Habit. And in this book, she really talks about how to be creative, how to unlock that side of you that is kind of that magical part of your brain. And she has some very specific exercises and really just ways to think about creativity. So I think this could be, for you young choreographers, this could be a particularly valuable resource. Just in case this would be a little harder to find, this is a VHS tape. Some of you will not know what this is. It's a VHS tape, and it was probably available online. It's a series called Dancing that was made for PBS, and there are a number of volumes of it. The one that features Twyla very prominently is called The Individual and Tradition. And so I think, again, that's something that really could, that really speaks to who she is as a choreographer. As I mentioned, Push Comes to Shove is a great work of hers done to classical music. She's used all kinds of music in her career, and predominantly classical, but she's also a big fan of Frank Sinatra, and her ballet 9 Sinatra songs has been done a lot. Her Broadway show, Moving Out, was the music of Billy Joel, where she really used a lot of jazz dance and more contemporary dance, and we really use dance as a storytelling device, which we don't always do in the modern dance world, which tends to be a little more abstract. One more source for you. This is a book about John Curry, the great British Olympic champion of the 70s. And he really pioneered the idea of using dance choreographers for skating productions and performances, not so much for competitions, but he created an ice dance company that he utilized modern dance and ballet choreographers to create pieces for the ice. And one of the first people that he turned to was Twyla Tharp. They did a piece together called After All that I just watched on YouTube this morning. It's beautiful. And in this book, he tells this story that he met Twyla at an ice rink, and she said to him that she wanted to see everything that was possible on the ice. So the story that he tells in the book is that he skated them for 3 hours, and he started with compulsory figures, with school figures, showed her all of that, all the edges, all the steps, worked his way up through the spins and the jumps, and then she sort of said thank you and went away. Then she comes back with some beautiful classical music, and then they basically shaped a solo for him that was about 6 or 7 minutes that really incorporates everything that is possible on ice, or many of the things that are possible. And then she also adds to it. And so this would be a thing that I would encourage you folks in looking at Twyla and using her as inspiration, rather than kind of copying things that she has done. Try to take her philosophy, which is to sort of assess the past and assimilate it in the present, and yet also put your own sort of spin on it, that then will speak to the future. Then when people in the future look back at the piece that you make now with this inspiration, then they can see, well, there is the skating that came before, but here is the skating that was happening at that time, and what that person, how that person chose to assemble what had gone on with what was happening now, and then hopefully bring some of their own sort of special spice to it. That would be the thing for me that I would look for, rather than, well, she used Frank Sinatra music, so I'll use Frank Sinatra music, or she used, for instance, she's one of the first choreographers to pioneer what we call the rock ballet, which is making classical ballets to rock and roll music, which she did for the Joffrey Ballet, to the music of the Beach Boys. So I'm going to encourage you all to find kind of your own special spark with this, rather than copying something that she has done. Look to make something that speaks to the past of skating, but also the present of skating, that you are now going to take into the future, hopefully, for yourself. Think about what's gone before, what's possible today. How can we create something for today that then will speak to the future about where you were at today doing this? So lots and lots of Twyla on YouTube. These resources that I have pointed out to you are great books about it, particularly I think The Creative Habit, her own book. You might find some special sparks in there for yourself. And again, I just thank you all for taking on this great challenge. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with this inspiration. So thanks very much. Thanks, Audrey. And
Thanks,
I'll
Dan.
look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye.